Hi, I'm your host, Isaiah, and welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. Today, we're going to knock out a couple things. First being the radiator fans, next being the alternator, and let's get to it. Okay, so I took off the upper and move the wires out the way a little bit. Let's see. There we go. All right. So I moved the upper and lower radiator hose. I'm going to pull this radiator out, but before I do, I need to figure out what monstrosity they have going on here for wires and figure out what's what. So, boom, boom, boom. So, yep, so these go to the fan. I'm getting a little blurry. Alright, so these go to the fan. And then these are hooked up to run constantly, which is perfectly fine because I'm going to leave this to where both fans come on at the same time. But I'm going to add power to this. So I'm going to disconnect power and I'm going to put a relay and add power to the relay, which is going to add power to this. So it's going to have 2 extra relays, maybe one. Yeah, just one. So these fans are going in the trash. All right, let's get to it. All right, so basically the ground is connected to this red wire. This red wire goes to the sensor, which used to originally belong to the base. The base sensor is the temperature sensor. Since this radiator obviously doesn't have that, you ground it out and it keeps the fan on constantly. So they ran a wire to the other one doing the exact same thing. So one of these, I believe is this one, is connected to the third fan. The third fan turns on when the AC is on, or at least that's how it's supposed to work. And no wiring is required because it automatically turns on if this one turns on. And then this is the one that's supposed to turn on when, oh, hold on, let me adjust that camera. So this one is supposed to turn on whenever the car naturally gets warm. So this one's set up to run straight. So I permanently grounded this, which was open. So I'm going to tuck that away and wrap it up. And let me see. Unplug this and take the zip tie off of it. And that's definitely going to look like something. Alright, so now that I figured that out, next thing I have to do, because I have a full standalone, one, let me focus, okay, one of these aux wires actually runs the fan, and this is from the Microtech. So I'm going to pull out the book and see which one goes where and test it to make sure it works and take it from there. Okay, so now the radiator is out and everything looks filthy as normal. No worries. I am definitely going to be pulling this motor out to do a full engine bay cleanup because it looks so bad, but it's okay. Anyway, so right now we got the stock alternator in there. We're going to be jumping into that in a little bit, but right now we're going to figure out the wiring. So here is the radiator, and these fans were definitely not enough to cool the car down, which is fine. I have something way better. Okay, so I have this fan set up with some extremely heavy duty motors, TSP. So this is a universal fan setup I found on eBay. This is actually two 11-inch fans, but because it's universal, there's going to be some trimming that's going to have to take place, which is no big deal. So let's mount it up and see what it looks like. Okay, here it is. Now we got room left and right, but up and down we're a little tall, so we would need to cut that out, and on the opposing side cut some of that out until it reaches the, oh, let's see if we can see it, the flat part there on the radiator, and we'll take it from there. So let's get the cut. Okay, so with a little persuasion, I got, okay, a little cutting here, so that fits like that. I think I tucked it in too much there. All right, and then over here, a little bit more cutting. Get that to fit properly. And it is in. Yep, all the way in. Yep. And this will work for what I am trying to do. All right, so got something to hold the fans down, and it's pretty sturdy, and this isn't moving at all. All right, and then now I got to do the base, and I'll be almost done. This is going to come off, and I have a regular hose to go there, because as you can see, the power steering pulley is slicing in. So I have an idea for that. So let's keep up the work. Okay, so bottoms are done and tops are done. Next, we're going to do some wiring, which is pretty straightforward. Red positive, black ground, and on here, blue is positive and black is ground. So blue, black. So I'm going to connect that to each of the fans. Okay, so now the relay. If you can't read all of that stuff there, this is a simpler form. Ground, power, on and off switch, which you're trying to turn on, power, motor. Okay, with that being said, we're looking for, clear that up, there we go, fan relay. Says it's a white red wire which goes to, let me clear it up, aux output 2, white red. Okay, so this is what we got. Alright, so this is constant power. This is switch power on and off. Then this one here is ground, the black one. Then the blue and white stripe is what would have went to the temperature sensor at the bottom of the radiator. And that's also a switch where once it reaches a certain temperature, it's grounded. So that is just added to ground in this circuit. And what we're gonna do is for our relay, and this actually, this black with yellow striped wire actually comes from the factory relays, so it senses whether the key is on or off. So this is gonna go to constant power of our new relay, and that applies for this over here too. Your colors may vary depending on year, but this one's an 88. So what we're gonna do is when we turn the switch on, this is gonna create constant power to the relay. So our switch from the relay is going to go to this end to turn on the radiator fan on and off, which is going to be preset by the ECU depending on what temperature setting I put it on. So the computer is acting like the blue with white stripe, where it switches on and off, but instead of switching ground on and off, it's going to be switching power on and off. So got to head to the store to grab some wire, and I'm going to wire this up, and I'm going to set the settings in the computer, and it should be good to go. Okay, this is the final fitment. And as you can see, I had to trim a lot due to the fact that it was touching the AC compressor, and I had to remove this pulley. So it's actually trimmed back a lot, you can see. I actually want to do more, but it's going to have to be at a later date. And also you can see down here, I have pretty much like a universal hose, which allows me to move it anywhere I want, which is excellent and exactly what I needed. So this is the final fitment. I took out the AC compressor belt, which I'm not using anyway. I need to, or needed to have sufficient cooling in order to make the AC not overheat the car, which I haven't had the AC running on this car as of yet, but I'm going to in the future. As soon as I trim this down a little bit more, I'm thinking if I trim it down to where this part is under here, that should give me enough room, because if you look here, it's touching at this point and on this. So good thing I have enough room here. But yeah, we're gonna attack that a little bit later. I want to keep the ball rolling and make sure that we tackle this factory alternator. Okay, so we got everything wired up here. I'm definitely going to clean it up more in the future, but actually I'm going to get some loom for this soon and hide it away a little bit better. But okay, so here on the relay, we had our wire, which is supposed to be for the negative part of the relay, which is 85, and I couldn't get the wire to turn on. So I figure what I'll do is I'll contact a couple of people through Microtech and see what's what, because it has 3 output wires and I only tested one. I'm gonna test some other ones later on, but for right now I have it hooked up to a switch, and let's see how it blows. All right, So she's idling right now. And let me show you the type of amperage draw that these fans create, okay? Alright, now listen. You see that? The car almost shut off. So, and man, these things blow. So, that's another reason why you want to update your alternator for more amperage, because I also have MFD and all of these accessories, HID headlights and fog lights, and you're just going to need a better alternator, and for pretty much $70, you can't beat the price. So let me shut it down and let's start the alternator process. Alright, safety first. Got to disconnect that battery. We're dealing with power, so don't want to catch on fire. Alrighty. Alright, so that's good to go. We disconnected the negative terminal of the battery. We're ready to go. Okay, so first thing you want to do is go under the driver's side and loosen this shield. If you got it. Some people don't even have this under here. But I keep mine because it helps a little bit with direction of flow. So I figure, why not? So, it's looking pretty juicy under here. And that is because of a power steering leak. So for those of you who are on Facebook and have read my post, you'll know exactly why I'm not going to be replacing anything on this power steering unit. And for those of you who are not on Facebook, the reason being is because I'm going to be making a bolt-on steering rack a little bit in the future, but it's definitely coming out, because look at that. That's pretty bad. But moving on to the alternator. So we removed the 12mm bolt, folded this back, and now we're going to get to the factory alternator. This is the back of it. That's the front. Oh, wait. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that's the front. And we're going to start taking this bad boy apart. And while we're under here, I found a nice boost leak. Yep. So, FYI, if you run your intercooler piping through here, make sure you fold these bottom pieces so they don't take a bite out of your pipe. So I have to do that on both sides. This is the driver's side, and I'm pretty sure the passenger side looks pretty similar. But anyway, moving along, we're gonna look straight up at this bad boy here, and we're gonna take it apart. Alright, so first thing we're gonna do is loosen this, which is and then there's a 10mm. See if I can reach it. Let's go this way. Okay, yep, it's right here. And not a 10mm, excuse me, it's a 12mm. So let's wrench those loose. And this one on this side is actually the belt tensioner also for the alternator. So we're going to loosen that up and we're going to get this thing ready to come out. Okay, so once you pull this one out of the rear and pull the stud out, which is that piece there, you have this one that holds this bracket. Let me see if I can get it. Probably not. It's okay. But this one makes sure that the adjuster doesn't slide loose while you're driving, so this locks it down. And then now you have to take off the belt right there, and then your alternator should fall right out. Now before you drop your alternator, sorry about the shaking, you have to make sure that you loosen the 10mm bolt right there and unplug your plug right there. So out with the old and in with the new. Now as you can see, these plugs are exactly the same. They operate the same. So let's get it plugged up and mounted up, and let's see what we could do. Okay, so of course you reverse the install. So that bolt there, you tighten it up and reverse everything you did to take it apart. But I would suggest moving this AC bracket up just a scooch, because it fits, granted, and I didn't move my AC bracket up, but it's a little tight to move forward and backwards. There we go. Move just a little bit, but that's a little tight. So to alleviate that stress, you can definitely loosen up you know, all of the bolts on the AC compressor bracket and just push it up and then lock it down. I am not going to do that, but I'm going to put it into the proper position and take it from there, which that should be good enough for me to get the belt on. And then I got the adjuster in the back to tighten it down, and boom. So let me finish up here and I will be right back. Okay, so you have to get a 1-inch bigger belt. So the factory number is 38017, and the belt you need, which is 1 inch bigger, is where is it? Excuse all of the noise. It is hot here in Florida. So it's 17390 is the belt you need. See, 17390, and it is exactly 1 inch bigger. So we're gonna slide this new belt on and we should be good to go. Okay, everything is in, everything is working good. Got the new 1 inch belt in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut on the fan and see if the car damn near shuts off or just a little bump. So let's see, because the car is actually still warming up. So oh yeah, that's way better. It idled down and idled right back up. That's perfect. Let's check our voltage on our gauge. Oh, here we go. That's perfect. So that's definitely a nice little upgrade for so yes, that's a nice little upgrade for about $70 plus a belt, which was $8. So, and last but not least, new tires. Yes, no more flat nail-in tire or anything like that for me. So I got these through a good friend, and they should definitely suffice. So booyah, brand new tires. Wow, now that I'm looking at it, my exhaust is a little low. Hey, more stuff to fix. We'll get to it. Thank you for watching another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. Definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can get notification. And there's going to be another episode of Project 2. Thank you for watching.